Hello friends, welcome back to my channel, A Little Geek, A Little Chic. If it sounds a little echoey, it's because I'm in the kitchen area of my house / living room, and it's a little more spacious down here, but I wanted to kind of get the fall vibe. Like, some of my bookshelves are decorated, but my house is more fall-y, so we're going to do this one from here since it is discussing my top TBR picks for autumn that I would like to read. So, grab yourself your beverage of choice, and let's talk about my fall reads. If you're like me, fall is your favorite season, and you couldn't wait for it to get here. It's also sad because then winter starts, and although I love winter and some of the stuff that comes with it, it's so long where I live. It's like 6 months on a good year. Sometimes it's 7. So I'm kind of like hesitant about loving the fall, but I can't be stopped. So I like to make a fall TBR wish list. It is large this year. I'm looking at it right now, and it's kind of spread out everywhere. So I'm going to go in categories, but just know that I'm probably not going to get to all of these books, even though I would really like to. So I also have some digital books that I know that I'd like to read, and I'll probably read some digital books, but those ones I'll just throw on my wrap-ups and my TBRs as I see fit. If you can hear a little bit of noise outside and the lighting changes, my apologies. It just started raining outside, so I get to deal with that now. But let's not waste any more time. Let's get into the books, and we're going to start with, you know what? Let's start with the romance. So for romance books, I have 4. 4 books I would like to read. 3 of them definitely give me fall vibes, and I've also heard people say to read them in the fall. One of them does not, but I really want to read it. And it's been kind of mirrored to like the show The Gossip Girl. So I'm watching that right now for the first time, and it's giving me all the fall vibes, and I just am absolutely loving it. And Gilmore Girls is another one that just gives me all the fall vibes. But so I am just here for this book, and I'd like to try it out. So it doesn't really give me too many fall vibes, but I feel like it fits, because as soon as people said it was like Gossip Girl, it just fell into my fall TBR wish list, and that's Magnolia Parks. So this is by Jessa Hastings, and if you don't know, it's about a relationship between 2 young adults who maybe aren't the best for each other, and so definitely look up trigger warnings and stuff in this book, because apparently it's not like they're not good for each other, but you just root for them anyway, and I'm there for it. It's just like Gossip Girl, I've been told. And I am very excited to read this. It's got a lot of mixed media in it, so it's got a lot of conversations and text messages, etc. And I really like that. Sometimes it's just like a light and fluffy vibe that you want for your book, and that's what I'm getting with this. Not so much the light and fluffy, but the light and fast read. That doesn't take a lot of my brain power. I'm hoping it doesn't break me, because some people have said it is sad and it just makes them cry, and there's a whole series of these books, so hopefully that's not my case, but who knows. So that one I'm sure has been all over the internet. Everybody knows what it's about, so I won't talk too much more about it. The next book that gives me fall vibes has been recommended multiple times on BookTube, and I'm here for it. It's been on my shelf for a while, and I picked it up the other day, the cover, because people said the cover just gives them fall vibes, and it so speaks to my heart. And that is Love and Other Words by Christina Lauren. This is about 2 young adults or teens at the time who go to this cottage every year with their parents, and the families meet up, and they become attached, and over the summers. And it just follows these 2 and their heartbreaks and their struggles and their love, and I'm here for it. It says it's a dynamic love story that will restore anyone's faith in love. And that book list quoted that. And the big thing is look at this cover, you guys. This cover does not give you fall vibes. I don't know what does. This is absolutely stunning. With the cottage up top, there's a cup of coffee on here. There's books, there's candles. I am here for it, and this is on my TBR for the fall. Next up, just the colors alone give me fall vibes, and the flannel. But it's also book 2 in a series that I've only read one book from so far, and I cannot wait to continue on, and that's In the Weeds by B.K. Borison. This is the sequel to Love Light Farms. Love Light Farms is the tree farm book that we read last year, and I absolutely loved it. I can't wait to go back to this farm and read more. In case you're not familiar, so the first one followed the farm owner and her friend, and she enters and wins a contest for these people to come or becomes a finalist in a contest for people to come check out her farm and tell people what they think about it and put it on Instagram and get her a lot of popularity and hopefully build up more interest in the farm. This book is a spin-off from that book, and it features a different couple, same setting. It is the influencer who comes to the farm and the lead farmhand. I'm not going to say too much because it kind of spoils the thing in the first book, but I am here for it, and I love this character. He is just everything to me in the first book, and I'm so excited to get into their coupling and see what this is all about. Plus, look at this cover. If this doesn't give you fall vibes with the colors and the flannel, I don't know what does. Sunflowers, I'm here for it. So, that is book number 3 in the romances. And the third one needs no introduction. This is more in the October realm, and it's Lark and Leather. Leather and Lark. Read it the wrong way. This is book 2 in the serial killer dark romance. I think it's called the Ruinous Love Trilogy. That's what it's called. And this feature focuses on one of the brothers of the main character of the first book and the best friend of the other main character of the first book. So I'm excited to see where this falls. I've heard that people didn't love it as much as the first book, but the third book comes out next year, so I have to read this one, and I'm still into this world. It is this. If you're thinking about getting into this trilogy, I will tell you that it is very graphic, and there's a lot of murder, gore, and spice in these books. A lot. So please be sure to, if trigger warnings are a thing for you, they're not for me, so I don't usually talk about them too much, but if trigger warnings are a thing for you, please look them up for this book. And the first book if you're going to read that one, because they are prevalent. There's a lot. So next, that's it for my romances that I want to read. Next, we're going to get into the fantasy books that I want to read this fall. In sticking with theme, I have 4 fantasy books this fall. Most of them have been around for a while and they need no introduction. And a couple of them are newer, but still people really know about them already. So they're not out there brand new types of books. One of them I've heard a lot of good things about. I'm looking at it right now, that it gets a lot of hype, that it's a really great read in the fall, and that is Vicious by V.E. Schwab. This one is a dark academia that follows 2 individuals who are roommates or co-eds or they're friends, and they find a way to kind of cheat death and give them powers. So that then something happens and a rivalry forms between these 2. And I'm not sure anything else about it. I kind of want to go in without knowing too much more, because the dark academia side just gets me, and I'm here for it. V.E. Schwab is also a phenomenal author, and if you haven't read anything by her, please pick it up. Any of her books. I 10 out of 10 would recommend any of her books. The next book I have is I kind of thought more along the October lines. It's kind of a fantasy-ish. I'm not sure if it is or not, but I put it in the fantasy-esque realm. And it is Olivia Blake's Masters of Death. So this one sounds very entertaining. It is a lady who is a realtor, and I believe she needs to get rid of some ghosts at the house that she's trying to sell, or vampires. let's just have a quick peek here. She's a struggling real estate agent, and she's a vampire. That's where the vampire part comes in. But her biggest problem is that the house she needs to sell is haunted. The ghost haunting the house has been murdered, and until she can solve the mystery of how he died, he refuses to move on. This gives me all the fall vibes. I'm so excited to read this one. This one sounds great. I've heard really good things about her writing. This is the first thing I'll be reading from this author, and I'm excited to get into it. Next up is a sequel to a cozy fantasy I read last year and absolutely adored, and that is Travis Baldry's Bookshops and Bone Dust. This is like a prequel to, and it's also kind of standalone. Like you read it in either order, to Legends and Lattes, which I absolutely adored. His books have the warmest atmosphere, found family concepts, and just a really cozy vibe that you can just get into. Not high stakes, fantasy realm, and so you don't have to use a lot of brain work. You can just curl up with a book and a coffee and dive into these, and you will not be disappointed. So this is book 2. I'm going to pick it up hopefully soon because I'm really dying to get into book 2. And then on the cozy mystery, not cozy mystery, the cozy fantasy, cozy mysteries later, I do have You Can't Spell Treason Without Tea. This is a book that came out this year, and it follows a fairy and I don't know if it's a rogue or an orc, but she's a mage, that's what it is. And she wants to get away from, they both want to get away from the hustle bustle of being, intertwined with the royal court and doing the biddings of the higher ups, and they just want to open a bookstore that serves tea. And this is like a same sex, they're both female characters, romance, and I'm here for it, but it's not, I doubt it's going to be super spicy because the cozy fantasies usually don't have a full extent of spice. They might have a dabble a little bit, but not usually very spicy. This just gives me all the cozy vibes. Like the colors, the bookstore, like the lighting. They're both sitting in front of the fire, and I'm here for this one too. On to the next pile. I only have 2 books in the next pile, and that is my horror pile. I have a lot more horror books that I would like to read. However, these are the 2 that are primarily on my list right now. One is Jo Nesbø's The Night House. I know nothing about this book, but the cover gives me all the fall scream vibes. It's a phone. It's hanging off the hook. It's got the old cord on it. In case you kids out there don't know, this is what our phones used to be like. You'd have to have a really long cord and like take it all the way down the hall and into a different room so your parents can hear you talking on it. Before cordless phones were a thing. And there's like blood coming out of the bottom of it, and I'm super here for it. There's like a fiery inferno looking thing in the background, like a Dante's Inferno. And I cannot wait to read this. It's giving me like haunted house, Dracula-esque kind of vibes. Someone's in the window upstairs here, and I'm just excited to find out more about it. It says, in the wake of his parents' tragic deaths, 14-year-old Richard Elvod has been sent to live with his aunt and uncle in a remote town in Valentine. That's all I need to know. I bet you their house has some secrets or something. Next up, I have quite the backlist of this author's works to read, and I'm here for it because I absolutely love his works, and he does have a new one coming out in January, so I definitely want to get to some of his this fall season, and that is Grady Hendrix. The one specifically I have here is How to Sell a Haunted House. I have more upstairs on the bookshelf that do need to be read, but this is the one that is calling me right now. It's just gives me fall vibes with the front of the cover. I love a haunted house story, especially in the fall October time. Give me the spooky vibes if I'm at home with the doors locked and all the blinds closed and the alarm set. But this, I probably won't read it before bed or in bed because some of his are quite graphic. So if you don't like a graphic horror novel, he might not be for you. He does give you the ick factor, but I'm here for a little bit of ick factor. I know that there's some creepy dolls in the attic in this one, and I'm totes interested. Next up, I have cozy mysteries. I have 3 that are on my list that I would like to read. I have more on my list, but they're all e-reader, and I'll probably get to some of them. However, they're not currently down here, because it's not like they're not part of my fall physical TBR, so I didn't really dabble in. Like, I'm not sure how many ebooks I'll get to. But I do have a lot of cozies on ebook, so just know that you might see some more fall cozies popping up. But I have 3 here. The first one is, these are all 3 books from people I've never read. This one is Halloween Murder, and this is Shelley Fradant. And it says, at first, the Mischief Night Marathon seems like a good idea to Lindy, who promises to be an old-fashioned Halloween celebration, complete with bonfire, ghost stories, and haunted hayride. Plenty of woods and dilapidated buildings for atmosphere, and theatric revenue, directed by Lindy herself. But instead of being festive good time, Mischief Night is living up to its name, turning into a nightmare of flaring eggs and outright hostility among the planners and participants, and the pranks begin. So there's usually a love triangle in a cozy mystery. There's usually a death or a wrongdoing or something gets stolen, and the lead character has to solve it. So I'm not gonna read too much more of that. It sounds interesting. I'll give it a whirl, and we'll see if I like it. Next up, I have, this is absolutely adorable. Can't wait to read this, and it is Victoria Laurie, and it says, "What's a Ghoul to Do?" And it says it's a new paranormal series. So MJ Holiday has 2 rules. One is she and her partner Gilly Gillespie work alone, and 2, she doesn't date clients. When handsome Dr. Stephen Sable needs her help, the specter-spotting sleuth is ready to break both her rules. It seems the hot doctor's grandfather jumped from the roof of the family lodge in an apparent suicide, but Dr. Sable knows in his bones it is foul play. So, obviously, she likes him. There's going to be some kind of like a little romance in there. Usually these are not spicy at all, so cozy mysteries are good for a little bit of romance and a little bit of amateur sleuthing, which is what this sounds like it's going to be. Lastly, this is one I picked up on my own. I saw it. It's the first book in a series, apparently, and I was instantly drawn to it because I like board games, I like puzzles, and this was a board shop game mystery, and it's called Bored to Death, and there's like a knife and the like Monopoly looking board there. I'm totally down for this. And it says, back in his hometown of Sugar House, running his family board game shop and cafe, Ben Rosenkrantz just can't seem to get his life to pass go, much less collect $200. When he was a happily married English professor in Seattle, now he's a divorced caregiver looking after his ill father and a chihuahua named Beans. I love it when there's a dog or a character in it, like a pet animal. Sign me up. While still figuring out the rules of retail management, at least the town has become more LGBTQ plus friendly. And when Ben was a teenager, and that flower shop owner, Ezra McCaslin, enjoys flirting with him. So someone turns up dead at the front door of Ben's shop with a backpack full of money. So Ben might be like him and Ezra may be on the hook for being the murderers, so he's got to clear their name. That's generally what happens in these, or he tries to figure out and solve the mystery. The next 2 are thrillers, and one of them is from the king himself, Riley Sager. So this book I intended to read last year. I only read a couple of chapters, and it had me, but then I forgot all about it for some reason. I can't remember what happened, but I just didn't pick it up again. So I need to get back to this book and continue. I'm going to start from the beginning. It follows our main character, Casey Fletcher, who is recently widowed. She's a famous actress. She lives at this cottage in this remote area, lake area, that is bumping during the summertime, but now it's fall. People have closed up their cabins for the winter unless they have an all-season, which are very rare, and only a couple do. Hers and the one directly across the lake from her are all seasons, and it just so happens that across the lake, the couple that has moved in is a wealthy couple. She is like a model, actress, influencer. He is a tech tycoon kind of guy, and she starts to think that things aren't quite on the up and up. So she starts to watch them from her cabin, and then the socialite of the couple goes missing, and she suspects the typhoon husband. So then we see where that's going to go. I'm here for it. Love Riley Sager. The more I can read Riley Sager, the better, in my opinion. The last one in this category, the thriller books, is one that I should have read a long time ago, and I've been getting pushed by everybody I know who's read it to read this book because they say I'll really like it. And it's kind of like Clue mixed with Groundhog's Day. And I can't believe I haven't picked it up until now. It's giving me like 007 vibes, actually, the cover. But that is the 7 Deaths of Evelyn Hardcastle. I got this book from a local used book sale, and I saw it, and I'm like, you know what, maybe it's time for me to actually pick this up and read it. So what happens is one of the characters is dead, Evelyn Hardcastle, and another character has to live out the timeline through each individual character's bodies so he can find out who the killer is. So the trick is he wakes up in a body of someone and then does the timeline over until she's dead, and then next scene, up in another body of someone else that was at the party, continues on. But get the kicker is he cannot, or she cannot, I think it's a he, remember any of the stuff that happened in the previous synopsis, the previous plot timeline. So that is interesting, and I am here for it. It sounds like a really good fall read. Sounds like it'll keep my attention, hopefully, by switching up the characters all the time. And it's about time that it came off of my shelf and got a bookmark in it. Okay, lastly, I have 3 books on like the literary side. One of them is usually a romance author. However, this is apparently more of a dark thriller kind of vibe and a literary fiction kind of work. So it's not really classed in either genre. So that's why I kind of put it in the fiction, literary fiction category. And that is Verity by Colleen Hoover. So this lady is brought in to tell the story of a famous writer, or finish her stories that she had going on. And she starts reading the journals and these stories that she has like written down to put them all together. And stuff starts coming out of the journals that she didn't maybe want to know, or now she's getting invested in what actually happened to her, and she suspects probably the husband is what I think. But yeah, I'm here for this. So this could be very interesting. It sounds dark for sure, and let's give it a try since everybody's telling me that that's like their favorite one. A lot of people that are like me and aren't super Colleen Hoover romance diehards still love that book. So I'm going to test it out and see if that could maybe be my favorite Colleen Hoover book also. Next, I have The Wishing Game by Meg Schaefer. This is about a young woman, a teacher, I believe, who teaches and falls in love with one of the boys that she teaches, not gross, like just, and he's an orphan, and she wants to adopt him. And she wants to have them be a family, but it cost of the kid is expensive to raise and keep, and it's just not doable on the salary she has. And then she gets this letter in the mail inviting her to this retreat, kind of to do like a game, which I love books about games, by this author who's written a series that she really loves. And the kicker is the person who wins gets the unpublished manuscript for the last book that everybody's been waiting for to come out, and they get the right to publish and do what they want and get the money from it. And so she thinks if she can go there and win this, she can have her family that she's always wanted. And so she goes to this house with these other aspiring individuals, writers, etc., and we see who wins. This has been getting really good reviews, so I'm really excited to read this. It's been all over BookTube, and people are loving it. And it just, I like the like magic-y kind of cover with the books. It gives me super fall vibes, and I'm really down for it. Okay, the last book is gigantic. So me and Kim, myself and Kim over at Bookshelf Bunny, if you haven't given her a follow yet, please do. I've decided to buddy read a gigantic behemoth of a book. This is going to take us all autumn. It will not be just a September read. It's going to be like September and October, and hopefully we can finish it by then. Because it is about 850 pages. That's right. I said 8. Like the 2 zeros on top of each other. So that's 850 pages. And it is a Stephen King book. And it is called 11/22/63. And it's like a time jumping kind of novel. I believe there's some time travel in here. and someone's going back and forth in different time rifts to try to stop the JFK assassination, I believe, is what this is. And I'm here for it. Just look at this. Does this like sepia old newspaper looking cover not give you super fall vibes? I'm down. Yeah, it's just gigantic. And so I have to figure out how we're gonna divvy this up. I told her I would look and see if there's parts. It doesn't look like there's parts. Or there might be. It looks like there's a chapter, and then the chapter has additional... Oh, there is parts. Thank goodness. But it looks like there's a chapter, and the chapter has additional parts in each chapter. So you get chapter 7, and then it goes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And then chapter 16, 1, 2, 3, 4. So there's a chapter, there's parts, and then chapters within chapters. This is gigantic. It's like the size of a phone book, you guys. This is absolutely huge. I'm going to do it. As long as it's not, like, huge for no reason. It makes me nervous when they're huge, because if you've ever read, like, okay, I'm going to throw it out there, Pillars of the Earth. The book's gigantic. The writing, yes, although it is beautiful, I could have done without, like, 35 pages on how to place one stone throughout the whole 1,000 and some pages that book was. But I did read it, and it was a good book. But it just stretched on, and it didn't seem like... It didn't seem very poignant. So I'm hoping that this is long for a reason, and that I'm really going to like it. I have another friend who's read it and really liked it and told me I should read it, so time to pick it up. So that's it for me, guys, and the books that I would like to read in the autumn season. I am going to tackle as many as I can. But as always, thank you for watching. Please do not forget to like and subscribe if you like this video. Thank you so much for watching. See you soon with another video.